Good evening, North Dakotans and Americans worldwide, and welcome to Here's the Deal. Thanks for letting me use your intro, Jason. I'll give you props. I don't want to be accused of what's that called? Plagiarism. We've had some of that breakout around the country again, so give
Yeah.
my props to Mr. Jason for letting me use his intro, which, by the way, he gave me permission. Anyway,
Nice.
I'm your host, Shilo, and I got my trusty co-host, Mr. Marvin. How are you, Marv?
Good. Glad the week's finally over.
Yeah, it's TGIF, huh?
Yeah,
Finally
for sure.
Friday. So I have to tell our audience, as you know, I do safety for my company that I work for, and one of my drivers came in yesterday and asked me how the show was going, and I said, it's going pretty good. He goes, yeah, I was watching. He goes, and I like that guy. The guy that you had on, he was eating a sandwich during the show. He goes, that's my kind of show. I like that guy. I said, that's my co-host, Marvin. I
Oh, when
said,
I'm hungry, I eat.
so I just wanted to let you know you got a fan out there, Marvin. So
Well, perfect.
that's what we do. We try and be for the people, right? And it's just regular, common two guys getting together and talking. So,
Yeah.
Tonight we have Lori Hinz on. I see that she is in the studio here, but before we bring her on, I'd like to make an announcement. There is a group that is starting a hand ballot counting class here. It's going to be sometime in March here soon. We don't have a date as of yet. They're working on two different dates here in the beginning to mid March. But if you are interested in taking the hand counting class, if you could get a hold of Crystal Tennyson, and her number is scrolling down there, and that's her email as well. You can call her or email her, text her, and give her your name and let her know that you're interested in attending the hand ballot counting class. So there will be more details coming on that. Hopefully on Tuesday they have a date set so we can announce that for them. But again, you can give Crystal a call or an email or a text on the hand counting class because I know that there's been some information out there on the radios that the powers that be are afraid, being the Election Integrity Act is calling for all hand counting ballots. So we want to rest them assured that we're able to do this, and so we're going to start this class. So again, you can get a hold of Crystal. So with that, Marvin, I guess we can bring our guest on, huh? Ms. Lori Hinz.
Yeah, are you getting video for her? I'm not seeing anything on my side.
Oh, let's see.
Let's bring her on, see if we have audio.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
You me okay, Marvin?
I still have no video. We got a black screen for you.
Yeah, turn your camera on.
I've got
You must have hit your camera button. You were on at first when you were on the studio, and now try it again.
Is that... Okay.
No,
we'll give it half a second here. You don't have a cover across it, do you?
So I'm trying to figure out why I can see both of you guys and myself.
Oh, well, that's fun.
We just see a black screen.
Well, if you suddenly see me get up and go mobile, I'm running down the street to see Lori.
Right. Right. He lives a block away from me. That's true. That's true. And by the way, Jeff, could you make me a sandwich? Marvin was talking about sandwiches. It sounds really good. So
that's going to become a thing, I think. Marvin, you started something.
The sandwich.
Hey. Well, I was hungry. There was grilled cheese. It happened.
Yeah, it does. It does happen.
So, just before we go too much further here, while we get the camera situation figured out, Rick just confirmed he is good to go for next Friday. So Tuesday we will have District 8 on. Next Friday, Rick Becker will be joining to kind of follow up a little bit more on the property tax initiative and how that's going. So that'll be good.
I heard him on the radio today. He did an outstanding job. He was on 660 here out of Williston. He was actually on Joel Heitkamp's show, and he handled it really well. He did a great job in explaining everything. It was a really great interview, actually. So looking forward to visiting with Rick on
Not at
that.
all. He's always good. He always does a good job.
Have you found your camera button?
I don't know if there's any other ones. I see chat, more. Camera's on according to my settings here, you guys. So,
Okay.
We
so
just see
maybe
a
it's
box.
something with you guys. Camera, mirror my camera.
No. There should be like a video camera with a line through it
It
that
says
you
front.
should be able to click.
Yeah, and yep, I did. And my camera's on. My camera's on and my camera's on. So I'm assuming since I can see all of us that the audience can probably see all of us too. So I don't know. Because I can see the scroll on the bottom and I can see all you guys. So it's something on your end that I'm probably screwing up.
Okay.
Edit mic settings,
Does that
name
make
and
any
headline.
difference for you?
There
we
you go.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
We found you.
I just went back and I hit the top stream thing and turned it off and then turned it back on again and then it worked. So maybe you had to allow me and I had to allow me or something.
There you go.
Well, we got you. How are you doing, Lori?
I'm good. I'm really good. I am. I'm excited for the next 2 months because I get to go all over the state, and I'm a little tired already thinking about it because I have the schedule and the schedule.
She froze.
Yeah. Oh, fun.
Looks.
She's gone.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Well, let's give her a few minutes here.
You know, I love fighting with StreamYard.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that or what it is, but sometimes when they don't have great reception, or I don't know if she had reception or Wi-Fi or whatever she was on, but sometimes that's the issue too as well. But at any rate, we'll give her a few minutes to try and get back on, and I guess
Happy New Year to you too, Crystal. Well, she was
Happy
talking
New
about
Year's,
this.
guys.
We have District 8 is the 13th, District 20 or District 30 is the 24th. I believe District 47 is the 31st. I want to get those listed too so people know when to go to their district meetings here. And kind of go from there.
We're gonna have Jeff Magrum, Brandon Pritchard, and Sue Ann Olson on Tuesday, and they're from District 8. And their convention will be on
There you are.
the 13th at Hazelton School. So if you're in that district, you should go out and support them or the other candidates. But that should be a pretty good convention as well. Oh, there she is.
There we go. All right, perfect.
All right.
Sorry about that. It like everything dropped. Did that happen for you guys or just for me? Did I just drop out?
You just dropped out.
Froze and dropped. Anytime we talk about serious politics, it seems to be we run into
Yeah,
interference.
it's funny how that happens, isn't it?
Right.
Well, what I was about to talk about was the fact that I am excited about going all over the state. It is one of the most fun things about campaigning and going all of the districts and seeing people from across the whole of North Dakota, and it's a blast. It's really fun. I'm getting a little tired in advance thinking about it because it's a lot. There are 47 districts to do in about 58 days. So that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all super early this year. Is that kind of so we don't have endorsing conventions after the state convention this year?
Well, there is a lot more, Marv. There's a lot more transparency this time around. So part of that is due to a new rule with the NDGOP that says you got to get your stuff on the website 10 days before everything else is noticed. So that is awesome. And our districts have been great about that this year. They've been planning ahead and actually doing a little coordination too. Of course, the URC in Fargo always has like 8 or 10 districts that get together and do it all at once like that, which is kind of handy because then the statewide officials can go to that one place and all the different people can hear their speeches all at once and they can break out into their individual districts. And in Bismarck this time around, I think there's 3 right around about the same time, and that is always helpful too. I've seen there's one time where I'm going to get to drive all over the state in one Saturday, and that'll be fun. Everywhere from Devil's Lake all the way over to Tioga and then back to Bismarck. So might be staying overnight in Tioga and not driving back that night just for grins because that's a lot of driving for my campaign manager husband to do too. And that's, by the way, that's a funny story too, because when I was on last time, I probably told you guys the story of how he wasn't necessarily completely on board with me running for office. Well, let's just say that Jeff Hinz has done a 180 because he is now my campaign manager and doing an amazing job at that too.
Yeah, Sarah said if I ever decide to run for statewide office again, she's hiring me somebody. She's out.
Well, I figure he's only going to do this once, right?
Yeah, right. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my intent too. I am one of those people who believes that you should term limit yourself and you should not necessarily be in office for over and over and over and over and over again. My goal is to get a great deal accomplished in this second 4-year term if I am fortunate enough to be elected, and then to just do what I can in this 4 years and then go back. And the other thing is I'm at a stage in my life where my kids are adults. My boys are unmarried with no girlfriends, no grandbabies. So it's this nice little window that I'm in right now, which is just perfect for public service and going and spending lots and lots of time and energy on trying to save my state and my country.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I have talked about this before. So like the National Committee chairman and chairwoman, that's a completely unpaid position with the GOP, right? So
Yeah, and let me give you some vernacular on that too, because that's very common to call us like a chairwoman and chairman, and it's really not. We are committee man and committee woman. The chairman is Ronna McDaniel, and the co-chair is Drew McKissick. But that's very, very common. And the whole position is really not really well known. It's just not. It's not one of. That's how I convinced my husband to let me run. I'm like, okay, who's the national committee woman? He's like, I have no idea. I said, see, I can do it. So, yeah. So it's 168 in the whole country. I can give you a little mini speech that I'm going to be giving all across the state here. My 2.5-minute speech includes part of this, and it's some math. There's 3 times 56, which makes 168. So there are 50 U.S. states, 6 U.S. territories. I'm going to be really impressive and give you the 6 U.S. territories here: American Samoa, Northern Mariana Islands, Guam, Puerto Rico, District of Columbia, and U.S. Virgin Islands. And those are the 6 U.S. territories. 50 plus 6 equals 56, and each of those entities gets 3. I can figure out where my camera is because it's backwards.
No, you're right. We've seen it.
You get 3 representatives from each of those 56 entities. You get a national committee man, a national committee woman. And those two entities, the committee people, actually get 4-year terms, and they are elected in a different way usually than the state party chairman. And the state party chair is the third one. And that state party chair must be either a man or a woman. Those are the only two choices. That's it. So man or a woman. And I do know what a woman is.
Well, that is good.
Important safety tip. I know what a woman is. So those 168 of us are we call ourselves sometimes the 168, and they are committee people. And technically the state party chairs are committee people also, but they are chairs who are elected to usually 2-year terms. So a little different. National committee people get elected in our state in a little different way than they do in every other state. Everybody has a kind of a different method and a different time of year that they do it. Ours is usually in April in North Dakota, and we get elected by the delegates who are seated at the state convention in North Dakota. So we get elected not by the whole entirety of the state voting, but just those Republicans who pay their dues, who pay to go to the state convention. So this just an incredible thing to me that people have to pay fees to be able to vote for me. And then I do this thing for 4 years and do not get paid. It's really different. It's probably not well known and understood.
So what all do you do in your position?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Well, you act as a liaison between the people of the state of North Dakota and those people on the RNC. And you do that by going to and attending for sure 3 meetings a year in different places. We have a winter meeting in January. We have a spring training meeting, which is mostly training classes and things like that. That's usually in April, sometimes May. And then we have a summer meeting, which can be in July or August. And it is in conjunction this July with the National Convention, which is going to be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So every 4 years, the RNC members get seated at the final gavel of the National Convention. So this time around, either I will get gavelled in or somebody else who is my opponent will. So, and what you do is you attend those meetings. You do things like work on different committees. You can be appointed to committees. You can try to be on and be put on committees. I've never tried to be put on a committee necessarily. The only one that I really wanted to be on was the temporary committee on faith engagement. And so I asked to be on that one, and I'm on that one just because I have a big theological background. I have a dad who's a Missouri Synod Lutheran theologian pastor. And so I wanted to be on that group. And then as I got on that group, then the chairman of that committee decided to make me a chairman of a subcommittee. So I didn't ask for that either. He just called me up one day and said, hey, could you, chair this subcommittee? And it's on not only faith engagement, but particularly youth faith engagement, and also engagement of voters in the big states of Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia. We want to try to target those states. So it's a big undertaking, and it's a very serious thing to me. I find it weighs on me quite a bit. That's a big responsibility. I have a group of 17 people on my subcommittee. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a big deal. So you work on committees. There are budget committees, there are resolutions committees, rules committees. There are individual regions that get together, and I'm the treasurer for the Midwest region. And again, another railroaded thing where they decided, hey, let's put her in this and make her do that. I honestly was just going to try to observe a little bit, but they really got me involved fast and got me, going and being involved with those things like that, which was a wonderful thing because I've met just some incredible RNC people because of it. I've got a lot of really good, probably lifelong friends now that I serve with on the RNC. So it's very cool. In addition to that, there is a committee on arrangements. There is a committee on site selection for choosing the locations for the national conventions. And of course, the biggest thing that we do as an RNC group is not necessarily just getting people elected, because that's the job of those officials who manage to get nominated and the candidates, but it's more in terms of just facilitating all that is the national convention, because that is our big deliberative body. So that's the main function of the RNC.
Well, and like last year, Was it last year when they chose between Rana and the other person that was
Yeah.
running?
So
Mhm.
So the leadership of the RNC is an executive group, which includes the chairman. And the interesting rule about the RNC is that when you have a female chair, you are bound by our rules to have a male co-chair. So it's always one and the other, which is cool. So that's pretty nifty. And then we have a secretary, a treasurer. We also have a counsel who is there, an executive counsel guy who is a lawyer and who helps navigate all the lawfare and things that are going that way as well. We have now, for the first time, finally, and I can't believe it has taken us this long, but we finally do have a permanent um, paid staffer for election integrity just this year, finally.
Nice.
Yes, it's a good thing.
Well, and obviously, you know where we stand on the election integrity, like as a whole. Like I've testified, Shiloh's been heavily involved in it. Like we know it needs to be addressed. So
Well,
that's cool that the RNC is actually acknowledging that too.
that was
So
the first committee that I was placed on, and that was the temporary committee on election integrity, which we are fighting really hard to make a permanent one. I don't know why it's temporary yet either. Same sort of thing. But and you were mentioning about that that election in January 2023. That was a real interesting situation. That was really interesting. The prior meeting to that January one would have been the summer meeting. Ronna McDaniel announced that she wasn't going to run again. And so, as far as we knew from that August, we're like, okay, then we're going to have a new chairman, right? Then in November, before the end of January election, then we got a bunch of people got phone calls, and Ronna McDaniel called around. She hadn't called to me yet, but she called around to a bunch of different people, and I heard about it. People said, "Oh, did you get a call from Ronna?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't yet." And then an email came out, and the email had on it like 110 names, over 100 names of RNC members that were supporting Ronna for reelection. And I was like, wait, what? Well, then she called me and she's like, hey, so how do you think I've been doing as a job? I said, okay. She says, well, I'm just wondering if you'll support me. I said, I don't know who's running against you. I just would like to know who's running against you before I make that decision. She goes, well, I thought you probably weren't going to support me. I said, didn't say that. All I said was I would like to know who's running in the election before I make a decision on for whom I'm going to vote. And as it turned out, after that, then I started getting emails like crazy from constituents from across the state. And I counted over 200 emails that I got in this very short period of time. And then, of course, like early December, I want to say it was like December 4th or 5th, then Harmeet Dillon decided that she was going to run. And before that, Mike Lindell actually preceded her in saying that he was going to run also against
Mhm.
Ronna McDaniel for chairman. And, the emails that I got were 99.5%, anybody but Ronna. I got some emails for Mike Lindell, and I got the overwhelming amount of emails said Harmeet Dillon or anybody but Ronna. And that really resonated with me because I got one email specifically from somebody saying, I would really like to keep the status quo and keep Ronna McDaniel, I thought. And it was a vice chairman of a district in our state, and that was it. Beyond that, it was all pretty obvious to me who I was going to support. And so I facilitated a Zoom call for people who wanted to get on a Zoom call with Harmeet Dillon, and she did a Zoom call so anybody could ask her any questions. And she gave us a full hour of stuff. I think she answered questions for like 35 minutes. It was fantastic. And if you don't know who Harmeet Dillon is, she is a longtime attorney and pundit. She has done Fox News stuff, except she was a Fox News pundit until Tucker Carlson was ousted. And then she's like, I'm out. He's my buddy. I'm not going to do any more TV that network, at least because of what they did to Tucker. So
Mhm.
she's associated with Tucker, and she's also her law firm, Dillon Law Firm, is the one that is doing the 14th Amendment Section 3 lawsuit cases protecting President Trump right now from being disqualified from the ballots across the United States. So she's rocking it right now with everything that she's doing. And it just was announced just tonight that it is going to the Supreme Court.
Well, there's 2 states for sure now, isn't there? It's Maine and Colorado.
Colorado, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about that too is that she has to try to find, attorneys in each of the states who are licensed in those states to be able to carry what she's doing, and then she helps facilitate all of that. And it's a big responsibility that she's got too, but her firm is just terrific. I mean, they're gangbusters, and she herself is organized and concise, and she's brilliant, and I'm very proud to say that she's a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine. By the way, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Twitter X, now X Spaces. Have you guys ever been on one of those spaces?
I haven't played with it yet. No.
No.
It's cool. It is very cool. I've listened to a ton of them, and then I've hopped on a number of them, and there is an X Spaces or Twitter Spaces coming up on the 16th of January that I will be on along with Harmeet Dillon and Tyler Boyer. So people can ask questions about the RNC, kind of like you guys are doing that, only on a big national and international scale, like massive amounts of people get on those things. It's super cool. I've done that a couple of times now. So.
Oh, that's really neat.
That
It
is
is.
awesome.
And I knew the last name was Dylan, but I was going to butcher her first name.
It's
so
hard. It's hard.
so forgive me.
Harmeet, and Dillon is Dillon. If you want to look her up or follow her on Twitter, and she is very prolific on X and super funny. The other thing about Harmeet that people don't know is that she's a serious person, and she's brilliant. She's argued cases in front of the Supreme Court of the United States, but she is a prolific knitter. She is a gifted artisan making these beautiful sweaters, and every time you saw her on television, she was probably wearing some kind. Jeff, can you grab that, please? You can see her. She's wearing some sort of a sweater on these things, and they're bright colors and everything. And she had made them. She made all of those herself. So that's her gift. She's also a gifted gardener. She's really, really good with cooking. She's just fascinating. Following her on Twitter is very enjoyable because you've got lots of gifts that she's got that you can see. So very, very neat.
So now you spoke about kind of the Rana situation and all of a sudden her running out of nowhere. I haven't seen anybody announce for what you're doing. Do you know if there's anybody that's looking at running, or has it been all quiet on the Western Front, so to
all
speak?
All quiet on the Western Front, so to speak. I have not heard of anyone. I announced, I want to say, the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's. I wanted to get it in before the first of the year because that was the kick-on date for when the districts could start having their meetings. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that I was running. I had been going around the state. I've done that for 4 years, gone to various places all over the state for various meetings. And I just enjoy that. It's important for me to, well, let's just put it this way. I came straight from the grassroots, and I have not strayed from the grassroots because that's who I am. I'm just not one of those elite executive committee type people who is in their beltway bubble in Washington, D.C. or in the state headquarters and not available. I'm just not one of those people who's staying in my home and not communicating with anybody, so I've been going around the state anyway, and I've been saying that to people. People knew that I was running, but I did it in a formal way on the Wednesday after Christmas. So, but no, I have not heard of anybody else who is running yet. Frankly, I hope that I do have somebody who runs against me, because I don't think anyone really should run unopposed. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth when somebody's an incumbent and nobody bothers to run against them. I don't think that's right. I think somebody should always. Am I wrong? Are you guys feel that way?
No, I would agree with that, Lori. I would agree with that 100%.
One exception. Josh Gallion. Let's let him run on 4 more years of Josh.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. No, I hear you there.
He has no competition, though, because nobody else has the record of being so transparent and so amazing with what he does than that guy. So he would be a really formidable opponent, and I can see why he would not have an opponent.
So funny story, Shilo. Back when I was running, Rana had the event here in town, and I had gotten kind of a loose invite to come to it. And I was talking with Lori about it, and she goes, "No, you absolutely need to go." And I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "Just so you can see everybody's faces when you show up."
That's
So
fact.
it was like,
You know what? If you want to get into the public realm and you want to do something, you have to show up. No matter how much you dislike where you're going, no matter how much the people hate you, it does not matter, because what matters is that you show up. Now, my speech that my husband and I wrote, we did it over coffee last Sunday, and we wrote this speech for me to give as my stump speech across the state. And I know I'm like rambling here and talking here tonight, but when it comes to speeches, I'm like 2.5 minutes. That's it, because I have been a statewide candidate before now, and I've seen people who shall remain nameless who gave 20-minute speeches, and I was like praying for death. Somebody just, Lord, just take me.
Yeah.
Just take me, because I can't do this 20-minute speech again any more times. It's just killing me, right? So I keep mine to 2.5 minutes, and I memorize it. And I'm close to getting it completely memorized. Not quite yet. I've only delivered it one time in Edgeley, but it's a different speech. It is not your typical, I do this and I'm on this committee. I do all this and I've done all these things and blah, blah, blah. It's none of that at all. I will tell you too, the other thing that I'm doing, going around and telling people across the state right now, is that the labels need to stop. And if you want to label me a Bastiat, good luck. I was never in the legislature, and it was a caucus in the legislature, so sorry, but I was never in there.
Yeah.
If you want to label me a right-wing extremist, that's on you. What you consider extreme is what I consider normal. And then, all of these constant labels for these crazies. I've been called a part of the look at his eye roll. He's been called that too, right? You've been called the crazy. So we hear that. We know what you call us, y'all. So this is what you can call us from now on. I've got a new label, and it comes from my friend Eric Underwood. I'm giving him total credit. He is the state party chairman in the great state of Nebraska, and he was elected a year ago in July and rocked the world of the establishment in Nebraska, y'all. Oh man, they did a makeover of their state party that was so inspiring for me. I watched it in real time on Twitter and was cheering and shouting. I was so proud of them. Eric Underwood calls us CPRs, like cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPRs. I am a constitutional platform Republican. That's it. And I am here. Write it down, dude. And
Say that again.
Constitutional platform Republican. I am a CPR, and I am here to revive the Republican Party.
That is very cool.
I like that. I really do.
I think that could actually catch on if people all over the United States start calling themselves CPRs. And Eric came up with that when he's like, I'm tired of being labeled all of these things. He's like, what I truly am is I'm a constitutional and platform Republican, and I'm a CPR.
I like that.
Well, and I think we could use a lot more Republicans in our state that hold to the Republican platform.
Well, that is supposed to be the lens through which you make your decisions on legislation. It's not tough. It's right there. It's in pretty plain language, and it's pretty straightforward. I think we have a great platform. I think we have a great national platform, which hasn't changed since 2016, because in 2020 they canceled everything, right, including our convention. So it just stayed the same, which I thought was about the best possible thing. I don't want there to be change. I feel like one of my main priorities, truthfully, guys, on the RNC in the next 4 years, and particularly in the next 12 months, is going to be to just protect that platform. I mean, of course, before the convention, but I feel like that is a really high priority for a lot of us, particularly those of us on the conservative side of the RNC, is to just preserve and protect that platform. It's vital. It's really important.
So quick question is What was your speech wrote on a napkin or paper towel or?
I had my phone and I did some talk to text into it while we were brainstorming. And do you want me to do you want me to try to deliver it for you? Because I've got my phone right here and I could probably try to. Do you want to hear my speech?
Sure. If
Sure.
you
Well,
want,
it's going to treat
that'd
people
be
are going
great.
to laugh because they're going to hear the exact same thing in their districts if they're in their districts. Because I do not waver. I just go through and do the same thing here. So I call this speech. We actually titled it the pot stirring stick speech. Jeff, are you over there? He's out of the kitchen because I've actually literally got a spoon that I use. It's like one of those big tall pots, right? I bring it with me, and I think what's going to happen is I'm probably going to be called the spoon lady from now on, and I'm okay with that as long as people understand the story. But it's called the pot stirring speech.
CPR, man. CPR.
CPR, man. That's it. Okay, so this is how it starts. Being your North Dakota National Committee woman has been a great honor, but also a voluntary labor of love the last 4 years. I love my country. I love my state, and I aim to preserve them both, and that has never changed. My name, of course, is Lori Hinz, and it's pronounced like pins and needles. It's not Lori Hines, it's Lori Hinz. I am a pot stirring, freedom loving, America First girl. That's who I am. And let me explain the pot stirring. My husband, Jeff Hinz, who's traveling with me all over the state, he teases me with this gesture. He's done this for the last probably 3 years now. He does this little gesture when he sees me talking to patriots, either from around the state or around the country at the RNC. And he does this gesture from across the room when he sees it, and he goes like this. Right? Like totally stirring the pot, right? So my husband calls that pot stirring. I call that advancing freedom. And at first, he wasn't really sure about what RNC members did or what they are. He's been involved with me with politics for a couple of decades, but don't feel bad if you don't know what RNC members are or committee members do. Here's a quick explanation. Now, I just gave you this one before. RNC Republican National Committee members are called the 168. The math is 3 times 56. You get 3 members from 50 states, blah, blah, blah. And I know what a woman is. And I have a quick 168 story for you. One time there was a unanimous expected rubber stamp vote where it was supposed to be a unanimous vote. It was one of those standing votes that the RNC does. All right, everybody stand up for yay. All right, everybody who says nay, stand up, right? I was the only one of the 168 to stand up and say no on that vote that day. I stood alone because I stood for what I believed in. And whether I win the race or not, this speech right now, that's right, honey, is a call to action. It's a call to action for you to get involved, but it's a call for you action because I don't want you, do not sit down, do not shut up, do raise your hand, raise your voice, not in an unkind way, but be seen, be heard, and be bold. So you can stay seated and be the status quo, or you can get up and be a pot stirrer. Okay. So if you do that, courage is contagious, and you'll find that other people are going to stand with you too. So I could tell you about everything that I've done, all the committees on which I've served and all the people I've interacted with and all that stuff, but it really doesn't matter. The committee leaders don't necessarily listen to you anyway. This position within the 168 is interesting because it is the people's only voice with the National Republican Party. It's your voice. It's not my position. It's yours. I serve and I represent you. So if you want your conservative beliefs to be heard, if you want the America First movement to be advanced, then I'm your girl. So I'm Lori Hinz. I'm running for National Committee, or National Committee Woman, and I hope to see you at the state convention in April in Fargo. A vote for me, and then I hold my spoon up, is a vote for freedom. Thank you.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
No,
I love
that's
it.
that's super fun.
It gave me another chance to practice it too from my notes here. So I'm getting close to getting. Yeah.
That's outstanding.
Thank you.
So I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this upcoming convention. I don't know, it's gonna be wild, I think. So
Well, I know a couple of things. I know it's going to be at a great venue. I'm very excited about the venue. It's going to be on the eastern side of the state, so that's going to be a hard haul for the people in Williston and Tioga and all
Hmm.
Dickinson area and stuff. That's a long day. That's a long day. Plus, the first night is. It sounds like it's going to be some sort of a reception on a Thursday night, so you'll probably have to take Thursday and Friday off work to do that, which is that's a lot to ask of people. So
Yeah.
that's tough. I realize that, but remember this: every type of freedom that is fought for takes some sacrifice, and if that's what
Hmm.
your sacrifice is, look at it in that way and look at it like I do for my position, which is a labor of love, and you're doing it because you know that it's important. So make sure that it's important. I do know that the Shack is a really cool event place. That is the NDSU Sanford Health Athletic Center. That's what SHAC stands for. Great venue. Look at the picture online on the NDSU site, and it's super cool. So it looks like it's perfect for a convention venue. So that'll be fun. We've got a great keynote speaker. Mike Huckabee is going to be the keynote speaker at the convention. So that's terrific. I'm very excited about that. He is amazing. We've heard him speak at the RNC before at a meeting. I do think it's going to be fun because as of just this week, we learned that there are going to be 2,229 delegates seated.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So when I ran in 2020, it was the year of COVID, of course. And so the first 2 months, I was able to go all over the state to 43 out of the 47
Hmm.
districts. Sometimes it's Wapaton and Williston at the same time. So you send a proxy to one and then go to the other one. But this time, I'm still butthurt that I didn't get to give a speech. I didn't get to give a speech. I didn't get to give away pens or things. I didn't get to have people waving my signs. None of that stuff. So I got completely ripped off that year at my first race running for something, and I'm a little hurt about that. So I have plenty of pens that I bought in advance of that, hoping that I was ready to go for the convention, and then nothing. So I
Hmm.
ended up in the last month before the vote was taken only by mail, calling just under 1,000 people. All the people who went to that one were only 1,000 delegates that year. I just can't believe that many people paid to not be able to go. That's
Yeah.
rough. I mean, that's hard. That's a lot of sacrifice for not being able to even participate in the convention. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to the caucuses. I don't know what you guys have heard about the presidential caucus too. Are you guys familiar with that at all?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I've been strictly focused on North Dakota.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the presidential caucus in North Dakota is going to be held March 4th. Now, what's cool about that is that is the day before Super Tuesday, which is March 5th. So it's a Monday night. March 5th has 14 different states that are going to have their various caucuses and primaries. And I went and I looked at the list to see where we were, like compared to Iowa and New Hampshire, right? Because those are the
Hmm.
first in the nation ones. And we are number 12 this time. So we're up toward the very beginning of the states and what happens, which is very cool. The other thing that's really interesting that happened is we put parameters on our candidates who wanted to apply to be listed on our ballot, right? So we set a fee that was, I thought, exorbitant. I'm like, okay, this might be a deterrent to people wanting to be on our ballot, and it was not at all. We ended up with 8 candidates who paid an exorbitant fee. And there was a time when we were talking about maybe even charging a little nominal fee just to be able to cover the food and the venue for the events for the
Hmm.
and I fought against that because the last caucuses that I've been to, we've never had to pay. And I didn't want to start that slippery slope and make people pay to play kind of thing. I know that people hate that comment. They're like, well, you should have skin in the game. So I ended up, I was really happy. So the rest of the members of the committee, of the caucus committee, kind of decided that, yeah, no, we're not going to charge anybody. Everybody can participate. So we're really hoping that we get thousands and thousands of people from across the state to come in for free, come in, have some maybe hors d'oeuvres or whatever there, maybe see some videos from the actual candidates themselves that we can play. like I said, 8 candidates, and you're all in your head. You're like, who would those 8 people be? Who would the 8 candidates be that would be on there who qualified for this? Well, Doug Burgum and Donald Trump, of course, first. Doug Burgum will not be on there because he's pulled out of the race now, but he did pay the fee. Doug Burgum, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, Ryan Binkley, and a guy named David Stuckenberg. And you got to look up both of those last 2 guys because they're awesome. Very lesser known people. I met Ryan Binkley when I got to go in October to an event in New Hampshire, which was a first in the nation event where my friend Chris Ager, who's the state chairman there, invited Jeff and I. And so we went out to First in the Nation. We got to meet Ryan Binkley is his name, in a bar. And that was really cool. So those are the eight people who will be on the ballot, and, be interesting to see how the voting goes. Be a good opportunity for you to meet a bunch of different people. It'll be a good opportunity for people to make sure that they pay their dues to the state party, because you want to go in as a Republican, right? So when you go in to register, if you've already paid your dues at the beginning of the year, then what's great about that is you can vote for free, right? You can go to the state convention because you'll have to pay your dues in order to go to the state convention. And if you want to self-nominate yourself, if you go to the state convention and you want to self-nominate yourself, you can do so on the website right now to be a national delegate too. So to be a national delegate, all you need to do is be a dues-paying voter, Republican voter, be a state delegate, and then you can self-nominate yourself, because at the state convention is where we will vote on those delegates who will get to go to the national convention in Milwaukee. So it's going to be a fun time. A lot of cool stuff there are eight different cities that are for sure hosting, and 2 other districts in addition. I'm not sure what the second one is. One of them I think is District 24 South. So these are the places the cities that will be hosting actual caucus events: Williston, Dickinson, Minot, Bismarck, Devils Lake, Jamestown, Grand Forks, Fargo. So those 8 cities, and then District 24, and then 1 other district. Hopefully there's one near Wapaton too. I'm hoping that they got in under the wire and got one.
And that'll all be on March 5th?
On the 4th.
4th. Gotcha.
March 4th. And that is Monday, March 4th, the day before Super Tuesday, which is on the 5th. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So with these district conventions coming up, what is your feeling on them? Because there's some people that are, I don't know, we haven't had a lot of people announced, so there's a feeling going around that some of these people are going to the candidates will run in the primary and just skip the conventions. What are your feelings on that?
My feeling is that I'm not a big fan of the primary. I think we could totally do away with the primary. I believe the way that the system is set up is for grassroots to vet their candidates, to choose their people because they're the closest to them and know them. Go to the state convention, vet your candidates on a statewide level, same thing, vet them, find out about them. I think that is the most effective grassroots way to do things. I am concerned about the primary. Never been a big fan of the primary, because the primary leaves it up to people who don't have as much skin in the game, are not as interested, are just not as involved, and their crossover happens. And I'm not a fan of that. I think, we are the state that does not have registration, right? There are pros and there are cons to it. The con is that people can cross over and do, and that's how you sometimes get a lot of people in your legislature who act like they're blue, but they say that they're red. So, we have to do that on the district level and try to find the conservative people that share our values. And not a lot of people really want to get involved in choosing candidates, but I tell you what, there is something really important about doing that. I mean, I will tell you that I think Marvin Lepp made a magnificent candidate for office. And I think there's lots more Marvin Lepps out there that should probably step forward. The trick is you just got to get off your butt and stop sitting down and being status quo and being lazy. And like he did, stand up, be bold. he you stepped totally out of your comfort zone, did you not?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that is, and people are like terrified of that, but I'm telling you, how rewarding was that, Marvin?
It was a ride, that's for sure. It was like, I wish I would have had longer. I wish I would have announced sooner. I think those are my two big regrets, because I announced 5 days after the cutoff for the state convention. At the same time, though, I was glad that I announced late, because like I attended the state convention as a guest. We know how well received I can be in our district. So
Mhm.
so
Get in line, honey.
yeah, I know. We sit by each other,
I
remember?
know, right?
You need
So
to walk down to our house and get a spoon, okay?
Yes,
right,
right.
I'm gonna bring her one if she forgets it.
Right.
But
That could be your trademark, Lori.
It is. It's gonna
but
be trademark.
it was wild getting out there, because I had a lot of fun. And I'm not a speechwriter, you know that. You both know that. You've seen me. I
Mhm.
don't prep for anything. And just to go out, before I would talk, I'd actually listen to the audience. What do you want to hear about tonight? What do you want to talk about tonight? And you found out the first time you sat down before we interviewed. You're like, well, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, you just asked questions. And what we talked about the night before and what happened on that show were completely different animals.
Yep. Yep.
So it's, I the reason I did the primary, though, was because of the independent role. I had looked at November,
Mhm.
and I had looked at what it would take to get there. And I didn't want to lose the possibility of endorsement to run as independent all the way to the primary, or to the general election.
Right.
Mhm.
And so like that was something that was a little frustrating with me. And I agree with where you're at on it when it comes to the primaries, because right now we're coming into another 23 districts that are going to be electing their legislators.
Right.
And we've been hearing rumors for a couple months already where legislative candidates are going to skip their endorsing conventions because they know they're not going to win there, and they're just going to try and primary out their candidates, like we saw in District 8 last time.
Yep.
You know,
Mhm.
and that's where I get nervous. But what I am glad to see is we're actually going to have a state convention, because I know you read the same articles I did after the last one, where is this the last state convention North Dakota's ever going to have? So the
Not if
fact,
I have anything to say about it. I mean, I think that we need to strengthen that convention, and the antidote for that whole argument, I am hoping, is going to be this Fargo convention. Carrie McLeod has spearheaded it. She's doing a great job. She's organizing, and she's getting every last detailed plan. They have been meeting for months already on this, so I have every confidence that she's going to be she's doing a terrific job already. So there is a website that they have worked up for it. It's going to be far better organized than the last one, which will give people confidence in the state party's ability far better than they were in the past, in my belief.
and something I would encourage people to do, even if you don't get selected to have a seat at the table, quote unquote, at your district conventions,
Right.
if you can, go as a guest.
Be an alternate.
Yeah.
Be an
Mhm.
alternate. I have done that before. I was a delegate for many, many years in District 35. I lived there for 20 years, which is in the center of Bismarck. And then I moved about 13 years ago to District 47, which is where we now live, where Marvin and I live. And when I went from one to the other one, I was 46 years old. I think it was 46 years old. And I go into my first meeting in District 47, and they're like, yeah, sorry, we don't have any delegate spots for you. You can't be a delegate because you're too young. And I was 46 years old. And I thought, what do you mean I'm too young? They literally told me, yeah, you're too young. All of our statewides and all of our other people are already seated, so there's no spots for you. And I thought, well, good grief. And so I was an alternate that year. And my husband and I sat up in the gallery, and we were alternates. And we looked down, and in our district were empty chairs. There are like 6, 8 empty chairs down there in our district. And we're like, where are the people, and why are we not being seated down there? And at that time we had a different district chair, and he just didn't seat anybody, and we didn't get to, and I was really frustrated by that. We have much more savvy and better chairs now. across the state who are much more aware of what that is. And we also have probably better educated people who are alternates now who know that they need to advocate for themselves and say, hey, listen, if there's an empty spot there, we need to fill it with somebody to vote, and I am an alternate, so please seat me. You can go to bat for yourself. So you can be an alternate, you could be a guest, absolutely. If you have teenagers, they can be pages. Fun fact about pages at the state convention is if you have teenagers, bring them along and sign them up to be a page with the Republican Party, because they get tips. They run around and they meet all these people, and they meet people their age who are Republican, and then they get tips. So it's a cool deal.
Well, and like the cool thing from my standpoint as a guest was, they seat the guests in the back of the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
I spent the entire convention watching who was talking to who.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's
My
good.
wife-
Learn a lot.
my wife and I sat in the back of the room, and we knew who everybody was, and we literally just watched who was talking to who.
That's a great idea. Yep.
And,
Well,
and
and
so
this is
it gives you
learning,
kind of
just
that
like you
outside
say.
view. Yeah, it gives you kind of a learning experience. The other cool thing with being a guest is when they locked everybody in the room, I could get up and go use the bathroom when they couldn't.
Bonus.
Point at the badge that says guest. It's like perfect. We're gonna roll outside.
Yeah, note to
We're
self,
gonna
may
get
go
this
to the
water.
restroom before they lock you in the room. Right? That's very true. I think the
Yeah.
credentialing, the organization of this one's going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
I have a lot of confidence in the people who are organizing and the people who are volunteering. And if you can in any way want to volunteer to help out, by all means, just call headquarters or talk to Carrie McLeod. Her number is online. You can go, she's a district chairman and she's also a legislator. So you can call her directly, but Carrie McLeod is the convention chair. And if you want to help out in any way, man, that would be a great idea. That's just a great idea. It's going to be fun. I think there's even going to be a reception, if I'm not mistaken, that one night that's going to be at the Fargo Aero Center. Like the Fargo Air Museum, like the Air Museum. So that should be cool. They've got some really neat stuff planned. There will not be deliberations on Sunday, which I am all for also. I'm happy about that. So we can actually go to church, but things will start with a kind of a reception on Thursday evening. Then things kick off in the morning. Probably 8:00 in the morning on Friday. And then on Saturday, we finish up with our business on Saturday. And then you'll have Sunday to travel back to wherever too. So.
Yeah. I was
What's
wondering,
Shiloh?
what's that?
I said, what's on your mind over there? I see it. I see the wheels turning.
Well, I guess one question I have is, and you kind of commented already on the convention leadership. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are so far on Sandy Sanford's running the GOP and her group there. I mean, she's been under fire since she took that, since she got elected from.
And
I mean,
she has taken that incoming like a boss.
She has.
She has. And what people don't realize is for people like Sandy Sanford and Lori Hinz, we have the love of Jesus in us. And so we are pretty much impermeable. It's one of those things where you can shoot all your arrows at us, but we've already got our armor of God on. So have at it, because you're not going to break our joy. And she and I both have talked of that, and we both subscribe to that. So I go places where they may disdain me and dislike me, which is their problem. That's not my problem. That's their problem. And I'm happy to talk to anybody in the party, and she's the same way. So she has handled that. She's also got a great team. Our team of executive people, from first Vice Chairman John Trandom, who's got gobs of experience, great parliamentarian. He's got all sorts of mad skills. He's a wonderful Christian man. Then you've got Jennifer Benson, who's terrific, savvy politically, but also a worker bee, just a doer. She's great. We've got Andrew Borneman. Again, if you want somebody who's got an incredible brain, he's so intelligent, he's brilliant, he's so likable. He's just easy to get along with. He's a tech genius. He's got all of those mad skills. And then we've got Stephen Hillerud, who is this up and coming young man who just had a baby on the 3rd. He and his wife had a little baby boy now named Andrew. And so he's a new dad. And he is fantastic. He works in finance at the Bank of North Dakota building. So he is our treasurer. So we have just rock star people, rock solid, who are doing good work, and they're all very diligent. Every single one of them has been to all of our meetings. It's not like they blow off the meetings and don't go there. Sometimes they have been at every single one. And that speaks to me. The previous
volumes.
Yep, the previous one was not like that. There were people missing a lot. And this time the people who are on the executive committee are committed to their jobs and doing good work. So that I can tell you is a little bit different. The difference also with this regime, if you will, is transparency. The first thing we did right off the bat was got rid of the fact that we had those executive people voting for themselves and double voting. So now we only have 47 district chairs electing our chairman the way it was meant to be, the way it was laid out in our bylaws. We're following that correctly. We're taking away some of the blockage that was there, some of the roadblocks and things, like people can attend meetings now where they weren't able to do that before. They were locked out of the building. There were security people. That's gone. We have videotaped the meetings so that we have that on record and we can show it to people if they need to see it or need to see it privately or request it. Things have changed in the NDGOP for in a good way. In a very good way. And I attribute that to Sandy Sanford's leadership. I think she's rocking it. She's doing a good job. She's getting a lot of fire from some, I don't know, big clown blogger guy or something. I don't know. But it doesn't bother us because we are laser focused on improving the lives of the people in the state of North Dakota by improving the Republican Party first and foremost.
And
I was pretty impressed with her just the other day because she was on, well, let's just say, I don't know if you want to say enemy territory, but she was on a show that doesn't necessarily have our views, and they were grilling her about the Nico situation and different things like that, and I thought that she actually did fairly well. So I mean, I give her credit for going on there and going through that at least, and so yeah, and she's been on here, and I hope to have her on again here soon. I think we want to talk with her some more as the convention gets closer too. So
I've seen her all over the state. She's given speeches too. I've driven her to several of those where we've gone down to 24, out to Sons of Liberty out west, and yeah, she's just doing. I think it's really great when people get to see her and know her like I know her. That's really fun for me because she's just a wonderful woman. She's got a very mission-minded mindset. And she and Brent make a rock star couple. It's funny, you will not see him with her though, because she's doing her thing and he's got to watch the kids. They have little kids yet. Children at home, right? So people are like, where's Brent? Where's Brent? To her all the time. She's like, the children.
So what's a car ride like with Lori Hinz and Sandy Sanford? What are we talking about? Is it all politics or
no?
What's it like?
No, not even. In fact, for my day job, as you guys know, I work for Beck Television. And so the last car ride that we were on, she gave me I was talking about this new Made Local show that I'm doing, which starts on this Sunday night, 5:30 p.m. on Beck Television. And I go around the state and I feature these businesses that people probably never have heard of or don't know about. And it's so fun. And I said, so do you know anybody like in Watford area? Because you're from that area. Do you know anybody? And she goes, I have 2 great ideas for you. So that's what we talked about. We talk about our kids and our families. And we certainly don't talk politics all the time. That is just fun fact. That's not the biggest thing in either of our lives. It isn't, it goes God, family, country, and then down here somewhere, way down low, down here is the party, right? So, and you just have to get your priorities straight. And she has her priorities straight. That lady has her priorities straight. She does.
Well, it was kind of neat when she came on with us once we got past, the fact that our stream got cut halfway through and we got her back on. Like we talked for an hour on the show And then afterwards, I think she sat and talked with us for like another hour and a half after
Yeah.
the end of the stream, which was
Yep.
super unexpected and really kind of a neat window into what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
She
nice to
is
have that
very generous.
conversation.
Yeah, she's very generous with her time, and she has put in a lot of work for this unpaid job. Man, it's a crap job. It is a tough job
Yeah.
being a state party chairman. It's like herding cats. I did an interview with the CBS affiliate in town just this earlier this week, and the little very very sweet reporter at Gal was asking me questions about unification and unity, and I'm like, it's impossible. It's impossible to unify people who have completely differing views. Um, there should be some unifying things in our party, but it's really hard to do the unity thing because we're independent thinkers. The difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is we are just not robots who walk in lockstep, right? We
Yeah.
actually we think on our own, and so we have different ideas about things. But the main core of our platform, that is what unites us. That is what we should all be rallying around. That is who Republicans are. And so I said in this little news clip that I did with this girl, I said, the only time that I can think of the last time that there was true unity was after 9/11. You have a
Yeah.
horrific, terrible tragedy, which everybody can understand. It affects everybody in the country deeply. And, I think that happened after Kennedy was shot, for instance. Things like that, where everybody unifies behind the United States of America for a common tragedy. And it's terrible that that's the only thing that can make us do that, right? But that's why it's difficult to do unity, because we think. If we didn't think of separate things, we'd all be like robots and we would never disagree on anything. And that's not what our country was built on. There's always that push pull, that
Mm-hmm.
friction, that checks and balances. That's the way our country was put together. It's purposeful. It's a good thing. It's what makes us stronger, right? So
Yep.
I'd agree. Well,
Do you got any more questions there, Shiloh?
nope. I was just gonna say I think I got everything answered so far. So
I'm a
I
little
don't.
sad that I don't have a sandwich here yet, but he left
Yeah.
watching TV. So
Uh,
I'll go get.
well, we
Well, win, lose, or draw this summer, we should actually get around to barbecuing like we've been talking about.
I love that idea. We kind of love doing in our house too. Can I bring my spoon?
Sure, you can bring it because I want to see it. No, Sarah's work schedule's changing now, so like she's going to 410s, which is she gets done at the same time every night, but now we're gonna have our Saturdays and Sundays off together instead of fighting for one weekend day to try and get everything crammed in together as a family.
Okay.
And I mean, that's really kind of a sad state as to where we are as a country too, is we spent 5 years with her as a stay-at-home mom where we could afford and do everything.
Yeah.
Without having to have her work. But over the last couple of years, cost of gas, cost of groceries, cost of resources.
Thank you, Bidenomics.
Right? Yeah. So it's nice to be I'm when she said that she could move to the shift, I definitely claimed it. I'm like, nope. I want you on Saturdays. Like I work every third. Like I want our family time back. I want our project day back. So I was a little selfish on that one.
I do get it. And I am at a wonderful place in my life with adult sons, and my husband and I have, over the last 4 years, I will say the RNC volunteer job, which I really do enjoy immeasurably, has been so great for my marriage because my husband has traveled with me to a great deal of these different places. He doesn't make me go by myself very often. I go to the regional ones by myself, but he comes with me for most of the other ones. And so a lot of the RNC spouses know one another too, which is really cool. And it's just been wonderful for us being able to travel together. And now, as my campaign manager, which he offered to do this time around, he's traveling and driving me across the state too. So we'll get a lot more time together, and I'm thrilled with that. I love this man immeasurably, and so I'm really, really looking forward to all the extra time I get to spend with him here. It's precious.
Oh, I love sitting in the back of the room with Jeff. I'm not even gonna lie. Like,
everybody loves him. I mean, they do. Seriously,
Oh, yeah.
if I were to pick somebody to run for governor right now, it would be my husband, Jeff Hinz. The guy is a great businessman. He is completely honest to a fault. He is truthful. He is well known across the community for being just a stand-up guy who is truthful and virtuous. I mean, he's not one of those shyster guys at all. So I think he would make a great governor. That's my pitch.
I can see the headlines tomorrow morning. Lori Hinz announces her husband Jeff running for governor.
oh
I
god,
know he's not. You know what? He's like, you should run and then I get the house. He literally said that. I'm like, you are so goofy. You're the weirdest man. But he is. I just think he's terrific. He's amazing, and I think he would make a really good governor. I just do. But he would have to take that up with him, Shilo, because I'm not announcing that here. But I think he's the bee's knees, and you know him, Marvin. You know, like he's terrific. Everybody, I've met very few people who dislike my husband because he's just the sane one of the two of us, so they look at me like pot stirring lady, and then, well, he's the regular one over there. Yeah. So
I'm totally gonna grab a couple extra spoons when we have our district. Sit there like this for you.
It's some big wooden ones.
It's the big wooden one. I've got one near the room, but I'm not gonna go get it. But the one I'm taking around is a bamboo one that looks like a wooden spoon, but it's lighter. It's easy to carry around. So I carry that around. So that's my prop for the end of my speech. And now everybody who's seen this will, have to come out and see me do the spoon speech, to do the pot stirring stick. So I think it's a good thing. I think people should be bold. I think people should stand up and not sit down and shut up. Now's the time. Now is the time.
Sitting down and shutting up has gotten us to where we're at right now, and it's not in a good place. I totally agree with you, Lori. We need to stand up and be bold. Yep. So, well, we really appreciate your time. I know you've got a busy schedule the next 54 days. Is that what you said?
I'm doing radio hits. I'm doing, I hope to do another TV thing or two down the line. And I'm just trying to make sure that people know who their national committee woman is, because I think you should know who your representation is on the national level. You shouldn't just wonder, I have no idea who's on the RNC from North Dakota. You should know. You should definitely. And by the way, fun fact, I did vote for Harmeet Dillon.
Good.
It was a secret ballot, but I did vote for Harmeet Dillon, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Well, Lori, when we get closer to the convention again here, let's find a tiny window in your schedule so we can have you on, even if we have to do it on a different night. So,
I'd be happy.
Wait. My lovely wife, who, as you know, gets along swimmingly with you guys too.
Yes. We love Sarah.
Just chuck this down the stairs at me.
That's it. That's right?
Here, I thought we were going to get Sarah.
My thought is that is going to be an iconic thing where people are going to recognize that as being bold and being a pot stirrer, and that symbol is going to follow me, and I am totally good with that. My husband, my husband is very clever, and he's kind of a marketer guy. He's like, what you need to do, Lori, is you need to paint half your face blue and be William Wallace and hold your spoon and go, freedom! Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
For the record, before you go, Sarah loves visiting Lori's Corner up at your guys' north location.
Yeah. Lori's Corner. It's Kirkwood Kitchen.
That's what she calls you. That's what she calls it. She calls it Lori's Corner.
That's awesome. I'll tell Jeff that. And by the way, it's Lori's Corner. Yeah.
That's funny.
That was inspired by a really crappy muffin tin that came home from the hardware store. It was an old Echo muffin tin, and it was rusty after like 2 days. I'm like, why are you selling this crap when you got these beautiful mowers and these great grills? Why are you so we went to a buying show. I think we were in San Francisco and we walked into a Williams Sonoma store and we were like, oh wow, light bulb. Maybe we should get some really good kitchen stuff. So we have kitchen stores in both of our hardware stores. So yeah, oh, I love those kitchen stores. I could walk around for hours in them.
She can too.
They're so great. Thanks guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah,
you guys are doing a good job getting the truth out there. That's a very important thing.
yeah, we're trying.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And we appreciate your time. So
Are you guys both going to be delegates to the convention?
Depends on how 47 goes.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad the District 47 meeting was scheduled right when I am at the RNC winter meeting. So I don't get to go to my own district meeting. I'm very sad.
We'll nominate you as a delegate, though.
Well, I am an automatic delegate because I'm on the RNC. So that is the one thing. But my husband will have to be nominated. So if y'all want to help him, Marvin, thank you.
Okay.
Because he's going to be with me in Nevada. So unfortunately, we're going to be gone.
Okay.
It just happened that way.
All
That's
right.
awesome. Such a great campaign manager.
No, he is.
I love it.
He brings great snacks on road trips too, by the way. Yeah, he's
Oh boy. Well, we could go so many directions with that, but I think we better stop for the evening.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
thanks again, Lori. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, good seeing you guys.
Bye.
You too.
That is RNC National Committee woman, Ms. Lori Hinz. So, what a great time. You know, we had a good time with her when Luke was still on too. We'd interviewed her, and that was quite the interview too, but it's always a good time with Lori.
Yeah,
I do appreciate her time. So it's time for our final thoughts.
Oh,
What do you got going, Marvin?
I'm gonna keep it simple tonight.
You're gonna keep it simple.
I think a good final thought is, Lori brought it up. Be bold. If you're gonna run for office, now's the time to do it. If you think you got what it takes to be a legislator for your district, if you're unhappy with your current representation, I think now is the time to stand up and be counted. So, because there's no time like the present.
I would agree. So this is the time that we need to do that. So that's some of the reason why we started the show is to get the message out and be bold and try and help our country and our state actually. So
yep.
But I'm going to keep it simple too and just agree with you on that. And then I just wanted to mention again, like we did at the beginning of the show, about that hand counting class. If you guys are interested in taking a hand ballot counting class, you can get a hold of Crystal Tennyson, and I'm running her phone number and email address across the screen there. And by Tuesday, I hope that we will have some dates to announce. So right now they're still in the planning process of that class. I do believe it's going to be in Bismarck. So
perfect.
And again, you guys can get a hold of Crystal.
Tuesday we got District 8. Friday we got Dr. Becker on. So that's going to be our next two shows here this upcoming week as we get more candidates, as we get more stuff coming up. We're going to try and keep booked out about 2 weeks, I think was the plan here. So y'all have a wonderful evening.
And a good weekend.
All right. God bless.